Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The topic we are going to start today is uterine cycle. You have already studied the effects of hormones estrogens and progesterones. These two hormones have a great role to play in this uterine cycle. So let's see what is uterine cycle. When we are talking about the uterine cycle, it refers to the monthly endometrial cycle, also known as the menstrual cycle. It is the monthly cyclical production of estrogens and progesterones from the ovaries, which is associated to changes in the endometrial lining of uterus. To understand the changes in these linings, we must know about the three layers of uterus. These three layers they are perimetrium, myometrium, and endometrium. Perimetrium is the outermost serous layer which protects the uterus from external impacts and harms. Myometrium is the middle layer of smooth muscle that contracts in response to many chemical, hormonal, and nervous stimuli. So basically, it is the contractile portion. And endometrium is the innermost layer. It is made up of stroma, which comprises of epithelial cells and glandular tissue, and also the blood vessels. Its thickness is the one that varies throughout this cycle. So we will be talking about how does this endometrium it grow and how does it fall off under the effect of hormones. There are three phases of endometrial cycle: the proliferative phase, the secretory phase, and the menstrual phase. Having a look at this picture, this is a picture of showing the endometrium. Endometrium is showing the various phases. The initial phase is the proliferative phase, in which the size of the glands and the stroma of the endometrium it begins to grow. This phase lasts for about 11 days. The second phase is the secretory phase, in which the thickness of the endometrium is maximum. And the last phase is the menstrual phase, where the blood loss begins to occur. The proliferative phase is also known as the estrogen phase. It is known as the estrogen phase because the levels of estrogen are highest during this period of time, and it is the pre-ovulatory phase. It begins when most of the endometrium has desquamated by menstruation. Just a thin layer of stroma is left, and epithelial cells are left only in the deeper portion of crypts and glands. Under the influence of high estrogen levels in this phase, what happens is that there is rapid proliferation. I hope you remember that estrogen is the hormone of growth. So, what is it going to do here? It is going to cause growth of the cells of the stroma and the epithelial cells rapidly, so much so that the endometrial surface re-epithelializes only in 4 to 7 days after the beginning of menstruation. In the next 7 to 12 days before ovulation, thickness of the endometrium it increases up to 3 to 5 millimeters. The thickness, the factors that contribute to the thickness are the increased number of stromal cells, growth of the endometrial glands, and progressive growth of new blood vessels. These endometrial glands they secrete a thin stringy mucus at this stage. This thin stringy mucus, it aligns in the cervix to form channels that help guide the sperm. The second phase is also known as the secretory phase or the progesterone phase. This phase takes place after ovulation. This place begins this phase begins after ovulation. And during this phase, both the hormones, that is estrogens and progesterones, they are present in large amounts and they are secreted from the corpus luteum. Estrogen is causing just a slight further proliferation of the just a little bit more of the growth of endometrium. But progesterone has a specific role here to play. Progesterone causes marked swelling and the secretory development. And excess of the secretory substances, it accumulates inside the cells. The deposits inside the cells, inside the cytoplasm of the secretory cells, there is an increased deposit of lipids and glycogens, which are necessary to provide the nutrition to the rapidly dividing ovum. And the blood vessels, they become tortuous and their vascularity increases. Here the thickness of the endometrium is 5 to 6 millimeters, and about that is after about a week after ovulation. The purpose of these changes is to provide a highly secretory endometrium. These secretions are known as uterine milk. They contain large amount of nutrients, as we just discussed, the lipids and the glycogens, and they provide appropriate conditions for the implanted ovum. The ovum, which is traveling through the fallopian tubes, it enters the uterus 3 to 4 days after ovulation. And implantation occurs about 7 to 9 days after ovulation. Once the ovum implants, the trophoblastic cells from the decidua of pregnancy begin to digest the endometrium and absorb the stored substances which were meant to provide energy at this phase. So, what happens if the pregnancy does not occur? If the pregnancy does not occur, then we enter the last phase of this menstrual cycle, which is menstruation. It marks the phase of monthly cycle when menstrual blood flow starts. If the ovum is not fertilized, just 2 days before the monthly cycle, the corpus luteum starts to degenerate. The levels of the hormones which were present throughout the cycle, the estrogens, they were present throughout the cycle, and the progesterone, which were present higher in the latter half of the cycle, both of them, they fall as the corpus luteum degenerates because they're coming from the corpus luteum. The effects of these decreased estrogens and progesterones are initially the first step is decreased stimulation of endometrium cells. There is no further growth. Estrogen is taken away, no further growth will take place. And involution of endometrium is 65% is its previous thickness. The blood vessels, they will become vasospastic under the effect of vasoconstrictor prostaglandins. And this effect is taking place 24 hours prior to the menstruation. Now when all these effects they are combined, that is vasospasm of the blood vessels, the decreased nutrient supply to the cells, and the loss of hormonal stimulation, the effect is initiation of necrosis in the endometrium. And this initiation is especially marked in the blood vessels. So the blood seeps into the vascular layer of endometrium, and these hemorrhagic areas they grow rapidly over a period of 24 to 36 hours. Gradually, the necrotic layer, which is the outer layer of the endometrium, it separates. 48 hours after onset of menstruation, all the superficial layers they have desquamated. And now this bulk which has been collected inside the uterus is to be expelled. And this bulk contains desquamated tissue, blood, and the contractile effects of prostaglandins. They're going to expel the uterine contents. So normally the menstrual blood flow usually contains is about 75 to 80 ml. Any amount which is greater than this will be labeled as menorrhagia. So this amount it contains about 40 ml of blood mixed with 35 ml of serous fluid. Normally the menstrual blood it does not clot as it contains fibrinolysin. Fibrinolysin is an anticoagulant which is present in sufficient amounts, so it does not let the menstrual blood to clot. But if the bleeding is large amount, this fibrinolysin may not be sufficient to prevent clot formation. So clots may be formed if the blood loss is greater than usual. Secondly, the menstrual blood contains a large number of leukocytes. So uterus is resistant to infections during menstruation. Within 4 to 7 days, this blood loss is going to cease and endometrium is going to reepithelialize. Have a look at this picture. It is showing the ovarian cycle superimposed on the uterine cycle. You can see the phases of the ovarian cycle as well as the uterine cycle. And you can see how the glands, the size of the endometrium, it increases and how is it shed off. And you can see the effect of degenerating corpus luteum. Initially, in the first line, you can see the follicle, which is growing, ovulation, which is taking place in the mid-cycle, and ovulation is marked by a slight rise in the basal body temperature. And how do we see this ovulation? How is it marked? There is a slight rise in body temperature, about zero point 0.5 degrees Celsius, and the temperature is recorded early in the morning before getting out of bed. So if the pregnancy has taken place, this this will it is going to be implanted in the uterine cavity. If the pregnancy does not occur, the corpus luteum degenerates, which was the source of estrogen and progesterone. And as the estrogen and progesterone are taken away, as the corpus luteum degenerates, the endometrial lining is also going to be shed off and menstruation starts. So that is all about the uterine cycle. If there are any questions, you can post them in the group. We can discuss them. Thank you.